Okay, morning. Welcome back to Compound Interesting. This is Emil, and in today's video, we're going to go head to head Bitcoin versus Tesla, which is the best investment over a 1, a 5, and a 10-year period. So Bitcoin and Tesla are my two largest positions, and likewise, they're my two biggest conviction positions. I'm an enormous Elon Musk fanboy, and likewise, I'm also an enormous Bitcoiner as well. So I'm kind of that annoying person who doesn't shut up about either of these things. So instead of annoying my friends and family, why not annoy you guys and tell you what gets me so excited? So first we're going to go through a shorter term time period, my estimates of which is going to perform better over the short term, and then I'm going to bring you through a spreadsheet I've made of the likely scenarios for Tesla and for Bitcoin and which is likely to outperform over a longer term time period. So stick around for that because that's kind of an interesting way I've done that. But I know this is more of a stock market channel, and usually whenever I bring out a Bitcoin video it gets less views, but I really think a lot of people who are interested in the stock market should really consider investing or at least looking into Bitcoin more. I think it has enormous potential over the next few years. So that's why I want to kind of be the bridge between the crypto community and the stock market community, because there's people who are either fully in the stock market or fully in crypto. However, both are great places to park your money and potentially make a fortune over the next decade or so. Okay, so anyway, let's get cracking straight into the video with which do I think is going to perform better over the short term. Well, if we look at Tesla's performance recently, we can see Tesla recently basically 10x'd. So in the last year, it went from around $180 pre-split to now it's like $2,200 post-split. So yeah, divide those two by 5. If you're looking at a shorter time period, I think it's unlikely that Tesla is going to 10x again. So within the next 3 years, I can't imagine Tesla is going to 10x again. I think it's going to take some time for Tesla, the stock price, to catch up with its current valuation, just in regards to the amount of revenue they're making, the amount of cars they're selling, etc., etc. We can see the last time Tesla went from like $30 to $300 pre-split again. They kind of hovered around that for a few years before they then 10x again. So just if we're kind of looking at it from a technical aspect here, but looking at it from a technical aspect, Tesla kind of goes flat for a long time and then out of nowhere shoots up. So that's what I'd expect, or something like a gradual increase for a number of years and then Tesla up to the moon. But in the short term, I don't really see that happening. But I think once Tesla releases their robo-taxi network, or it goes live, or their Model 2 comes out and the sales are great, once some sort of catalyst like that can send Tesla's stock price jumping, but I think that's going to take a couple of years before that happens. However, personally, I think Bitcoin is on the precipice of another 10x or enormous price increase. If we're looking at it from a technical aspect as well, we can see that Bitcoin kind of goes in these 4-year cycles, which aligns with its halving event, which essentially cuts the new fresh supply of Bitcoin in half every 4 years, and that reduces the supply. So the supply is reduced, and if the demand remains constant, eventually that demand has to push the price up. So historically, after the halving, about 1 to 2 years after the halving is when Bitcoin has gone into these extreme bubble phases, and we're about 6 months after the last halving, which happened in May. Well, 6-7 months after that last halving. So over the next year, a lot of people are expecting Bitcoin to go into one of those parabolic bubble phases. So there's a high likelihood that could happen, and the risks are limited in my opinion. So personally, I think Bitcoin is, from a risk to reward standpoint, and for if you're looking at a 1 to 2 year time horizon, I think Bitcoin is the best investment right now out of any stock, asset, anything, personally. Some people believe that these cycles that Bitcoin goes through are lengthening. So they're getting longer, because the first one was like 3 years, then the next one was 4 years. Some people think the next one's going to be 5 or 6 years. However, personally, if I don't agree with that. I think the 4 year is more likely the 4-year cycle, and that's because if these cycles were lengthening, if we assume that these cycles occur because of the halving event, which cuts the supply in half, then we'd also have to, if that's the case, if that's the cause of these cycles, then if the cycles were lengthening, then past halving cycles, they would start interfering with each other, and basically the cycles would break down in a couple of cycles, because previous halvings start to mess with the current cycles. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off track here, but personally I think the likely next peak will actually be this time, well, maybe not this time next year, but probably December time next year or early 2022. So at the moment I'm like 50% my Tesla position and 50% Bitcoin position. Obviously I have other positions, but they're about equal in the amount that I have of each in dollar value. However, for the last month and for the next few months, I'm not going to be putting any more money in Tesla, or probably very much in any other stocks, maybe a little bit, but most of my money for the next couple of months is going to be going into Bitcoin and some other cryptocurrencies that I might talk about in another video, but I'll let you know here. Chainlink and Ethereum, that's where all my money is going to go for the next few months, because I think they have the best risk to reward right now. So if everything plays out like I want it to, and Bitcoin and those other cryptocurrencies do very well in the next year or two, then I'll be selling them and putting those profits into Tesla stock. So then when Tesla stock shoots up, my only problem will be to choose the color of my next Lambo. All right, so let's dive into my computer and do a comparison between Bitcoin and Tesla on a longer term time horizon. I'm gonna have to explain to you how I've set this up, and it's a bit of a different, weird way. It's not like a discounted cash flow method or anything like that. It's a very crude way that I'm going to value what Tesla and Bitcoin are worth, considering if they could go to whatever prices in the future. All right, so how this essentially works is this valuation model that I've completely pulled out my arse. So imagine we're playing a game, or I offer you this game, right? So 1 in 100 times you play this game, I'm going to give you $100. So how much would you pay if you could play that game infinite times? How much would you pay to play that game? So if you're going to win $100 1 in 100 times, the break even amount that you would pay for that game is $1, because 1 in 100 times you're going to win $100. So you're going to break even if you pay $1 for that. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. So basically we're saying that what is the market cap of Tesla, or what is the market cap of Bitcoin in the future? What is the chance of that market cap in the future? And that's where we're getting these price targets from. So first of all, we're going to look at the market caps now. So their market cap for Tesla is 400 billion, market cap for Bitcoin 280 billion. So first we'll just compare their chance of going to zero. Now I can completely pull these chances. You can change these chances to whatever you think is likely, but personally I think the chance of Tesla going to zero, so we're going to go the chance of bankruptcy, we're going to go bear, bull, and then the golden goose scenario for both of these, for Tesla and Bitcoin. So the chance of bankruptcy for Tesla, in my eyes, over the next decade or so is 10%, so it could happen. Another competitor could come along and outperform Tesla, or I don't know. I think it's a very low likelihood, so that's why I've given it a low percentage. 10% is pretty low, all things considered. The chance of Bitcoin going to zero as well, I also think is quite low. So you can change that to whatever you think, but from studying Bitcoin a lot and knowing a lot about Bitcoin, I think the chances of it going to complete zero are very, very small. Surprisingly small, because I think there will always be a market for Bitcoin, even if the price can go a lot smaller than it is now. All right, so the bear case for 10 years, I've put Tesla at a $200 billion market cap, so about a 50% drop from where it is today, and I've given that a 15% likelihood. So I think Tesla to have a smaller market cap than it does today in 10 years is quite unlikely as well, but probably a good bit more likely than it going to zero. So Bitcoin is currently $15,000 or thereabouts, $15,000. And I think in a bear case scenario, like Bitcoin could go a lot lower. Like if governments banned it, if a lot of things could go wrong, where it's not going to drop just 50%. So I've dropped it by, what's that? That's like 7% of its current value. So it can drop like 93% or so. So in my opinion, the bear case is a lot riskier for Bitcoin. But I've also given that a 15% chance. So looking at this, yeah, in the chance of going to zero, they're about equal. But in the chance of losing like 90% of your value, I think Bitcoin's definitely the more likely candidate to do that rather than Tesla. I hope that makes sense. So that $1,000 gives Bitcoin's market cap at 15 billion, and the bear case for Tesla is 200 billion. Right, so let's move on to the bull cases. This is where things get a little bit more fun. So the bull case for Tesla, I've put it at 5. These are in trillions now. So the bull case for Tesla for its market cap is $5 trillion. So that's if they sell 10% of cars worldwide, they have their robo-taxi network going, if they have energy deployments, selling solar roof, all that jazz that I've run through in all my videos. That could, a lot of people think they'll be able to have $1 to $2 trillion in revenue, and with a price to sales ratio of like 2, 3, 4, 5, we can give them a market cap of $5 trillion. So that's a high market cap. Obviously, that's more than twice what Apple is now. But in 10 years, yeah, I think this has a very good, I think Tesla has a good opportunity to become the biggest company in the world. So I've given this a 50% likelihood or percentage or whatever. So like in that game, we're going to multiply the total market cap, or what you could win, by the chance of that happening. 50% by 5 gives you 2.5 trillion. So that's the absolute value in today's money or whatever. I hope that kind of makes sense. I know it's a bit of a weird way to do it. Now for Bitcoin, I think this has a higher bull case in trillions in market cap wise. And so that's why it's at 10 trillion. And that's what gold's market cap is. So I think Bitcoin has a good chance of replacing, or kind of not replacing gold obviously, but kind of being in tandem with gold, or having a similar market cap in 10 years to gold, as it's a superior store of value and a superior kind of digital gold. So I've also given that a 50% chance. Now obviously you have to change your own numbers, put your own percentage chances, because I know a lot of people, especially in a stock market channel, don't think the chance of Bitcoin going to $10 trillion is 50%. But I'm obviously completely biased and I might have my head in the clouds, but I don't care. That's what I believe. So $10 trillion, 50% chance, and that gives us a present day value of $5 trillion. So Bitcoin wins here as well. Now, the golden goose, what you've all been waiting for, the golden goose scenario, if the absolute best for both of these assets stocks / Bitcoin or whatever. So the golden goose scenario. So yeah, everything's in trillions again. So the golden goose scenario for Tesla is if everything goes, if they sell most of the cars worldwide, if the Model 3 or the Model 2 that's coming out in a few years, if that becomes the iPhone of today, just one of the best selling products of all time. The robo-taxi makes them a fortune. They have, everyone wants to get a solar roof, a Tesla roof, etc., etc. Everything working out well for them. Everyone uses Tesla trucks to transport goods, etc., etc. The golden goose scenario. And I have seen, like, this isn't completely impossible. Like, Tesla could be earning a few $1 trillion in revenue by 2030. So this is by 2030. At the moment, they're making nowhere near that kind of money, but in 10 years, they could be making trillions and trillions. And if we use a price to sales ratio that's similar to like Amazon today, which is like 4 or 5, then we can have a look. We can see this $20 trillion market cap. And I think the chances of this are pretty low. So 15% chance, probably a little bit high of a percentage chance, but who knows. But anyway, this would give us $20 trillion with a 15% chance of happening. Gives us $3 trillion of absolute value today. Now for Bitcoin, the golden goose scenario for Bitcoin is enormous, because basically everything, the entire value of everything on earth could eventually become valued in Bitcoin rather than dollars. Everything could become backed by Bitcoin, and the value of all money right now and stocks and everything is currently like 100 trillion. It's actually a lot more, but just for simplicity's sake, we're going to put it at 100 trillion. Now, obviously, I don't think there's a high likelihood that Bitcoin becomes a global reserve world currency. Some people think that's a high likelihood, but if that were to happen, Bitcoin's value would have to become that of everything in the world, if you know what I mean. Everything has to be valued in Bitcoin, then Bitcoin's value would have to be, is essentially everything, you know. So that would put Bitcoin at $100 trillion. And yeah, I originally had this at a 1% chance. It's something like a 1% or a 2% chance of happening in my eyes. I think it's extraordinarily low, but If you have these sort of opportunities and you always skip them out throughout your life, you never take a swing at these games that have enormous upside but not a high chance of happening, but are games that you should play. So for example, in that game, say you have a 1 in 100 chance in that same game, a 1 in 100 chance of winning $1,000, and you have to pay $1 to play. You should play that. If you can only play it once, you should still play that, because there is a 1 in 100 chance. Yeah, you're probably going to lose your dollar, but there's a 1 in 100 chance you're going to win $1,000. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with Bitcoin right now. If you always pass up on those opportunities that are stacked in your favor, yeah, most of the time you'll lose if you do that, but that one time that you do win, it'll make up for all those ones that you did miss. So anyway, $100 trillion, very low probability, 2%, and that gives us 2 trillion today. So if we add all these up, so that would be 5 trillion plus 2 trillion, 2.5 trillion plus 3 trillion. We can see that Tesla's winning on the bull and golden goose scenarios. However, you also have to take into account that the chances of losing a large proportion of your money is higher with Bitcoin. For me, both of them are amazing investments. So for the next few years, going to be still investing a lot of my money into both Tesla and Bitcoin, because I think they're both enormous opportunities. And yeah, my two biggest positions, and probably will be my two biggest positions for a long time into the foreseeable future. So that's all for this video. If you did enjoy the video, let me know by leaving a like, so I know if these videos are helpful and you're enjoying them. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope you learned something, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. So thanks again, and goodbye.